The following is a live broadcast of a Lone Star community radio program, recorded and broadcasted live on irlonestar.com, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and facebook.com/irlonestar. For more information on this show, please visit our show page at irlonestar.com/shows. To sponsor or donate to this program, visit our donate page at irlonestar.com/donate, or email us at lscrstudios@gmail.com, or give us a call at 936-666-1084. Lone Star Community Radio production and broadcast is possible by folks like you. So sponsor and donate today.
Hey, this is Lo with Soul Harbor, and you are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZWLP Conroe and 106.1 KZCCLP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Hello, Conroe and Montgomery County. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in downtown Conroe at the Lone Star Internet Radio Studios. Welcome to Toast of the Town with Christy and Mel, except I don't have a Mel today, or at least not right now. I have Holly.
Hey.
Hi, Miss Holly. How are you?
Groovy.
Good. It's so glad to have you back here in the studios and back on the show. And
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm not sure I'm a fit substitute, but
yeah, you got this.
We'll
I ain't
see.
worried about you. Because somehow we always find plenty of things to talk about.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, so anyway, it is a gorgeous day. If you're not familiar with Toast of the Town with Christy and Mel, what we like to do is talk about things that are going on in the news, events that are coming up, all the amazing new things that are happening here in Conroe, Montgomery County, and the greater Montgomery County area, and, toast them with our special brand of toasting, just to say thanks for bringing the best here to Montgomery County. And it's a really good time to be living in the Conroe area, because boy, are things going. If you hear any noise in the background, you can hear them doing improvements.
Construction, yeah.
Right next door, getting things ready to go, and and going and growing. But there's been so much in the news here lately, and and everything's kind of crazy. And I got bombarded with some news on the way here that I'm still trying to process and everything. But as we all know, we've got some COVID update numbers that came out yesterday. We have 57% of the infected cases here in Montgomery County have already recovered. Right now, we only have 14 hospitalized cases of COVID. We have 432 that are active but not hospitalized, saying that, if you get it,
It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Odds are you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You're going to be all right. So, it's a nice positive spin considering everything else that's been going on here in the news lately. But, one of the things that Mel and I talked about last week was something that was coming up, and that was the Landshark restaurant at Margaritaville is now officially open.
All right.
And why we haven't been there to enjoy some margaritas.
It's a mystery.
It's an absolute just disgrace. We got to fix that.
We do.
Star Cinema Grill is fixing to open up all of their area locations.
there's fence to the left, fence to the right.
That's right.
Yeah. It's all
It's
happening.
time. It's time.
It is.
Schlitterbahn is even opening up on June 13th. Of course, we have the Big Waters water park over in New Caney that is now officially open. So summertime is here and upon us, even though we're like halfway through June. And what about all of these cool high school graduations that finally got to come together for all these seniors?
Yeah. Just the whole... You're graduating from anything this year is just, the colleges, high schools, internships, new jobs. It's just amazing.
Yes.
What this year is going to do to society.
Yeah.
And I read something the other day. Some people were talking about this may be the actual beginning of the gap year in America. That, in Europe, so many people, when they graduate from high school, take a gap year.
Yeah.
To work, to travel. That's
backpack
sort of
across
whatever it is, or just to travel. To work for a while maybe in a field you might, or maybe
Right.
just to earn some money, and that it would be a very good thing for most people. Would have probably been a good thing for me, and for my
I agree.
kid. Just the maturity level of anybody, and you go straight from your mommy's house to
Living on
college,
your own, and
it's like anyway.
No, I agree.
I think a gap year would be a great thing.
Yeah, I think, and especially having two kids that are in high school right now. And one of the things that we've talked about with the closing of schools, yes, we did online learning, and yeah, we were able to do some of that, but they didn't do any learning really.
Right.
They did
Right.
some busy work. They did some practice to keep the skills that they'd
Sure.
already been taught, but they didn't really, learn anything new and different. So how do we go into now as sophomores and be moving on to these next levels when there are still so many lessons that they're going to have to teach to get these
Absolutely.
kids caught up?
Absolutely. Well, and they say the last few weeks of school are nothing, and the first few weeks of school are just reviews. So maybe it won't be, they'll have to hit the ground running. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
They
Well-
really will. But everybody's in the same boat. That's the one thing that I'm.
There is an equal.
That's right. Everybody's in the same boat. Now, that's probably not true because those without parents making them do it, or those without access to the internet or the computers weren't not able to do
Right.
what our kids were. But and we have to be cognizant of that. But it's still. Everybody went through COVID, so that's for sure.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's really, when you look at all of these student athletes, that are entering
Yeah.
college or already in college or were graduating college and
Looking for their scholarship, yeah.
And, how
or
in the
their
world?
fun, or what they've worked their rear end off all their
Yes,
life
exactly.
for. Yeah, it's tough.
And, so seeing these graduations come to light, after so many of them had to give up prom and had to give up so many of these rites of passage that so many of us enjoyed,
Right, right.
During that time of our lives, it's nice to at least see that so many of them got to participate in a graduation
right,
ceremony.
absolutely.
And I know that Conroe ISD, Willis ISD, a lot of the local districts around here have worked really, really hard to be able to still respect the
Find a way to do it. Yeah.
the precautions, the safety and everything, but be able to bring that. But what I thought was really cool, and it's a story that I've seen pictures of that I have not just completely dived into, is in New Braunfels, they say that they have now started a new graduation tradition. Did you see
I
this?
did, going down the chute.
Going down the chute and they're capping down in a tube. I'm like, I want to go do that.
I do too. In fact, I think we should. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so, too.
I will wear a cap and gown if somebody wants me to. I'm not proud.
I'm there.
Yeah.
I've got no problem. I think
No.
I've still got mine in a box somewhere.
I mean, I'll wear something under it.
Yeah.
As far as you know.
Well,
but yeah. But
as far as anybody needs to know.
Exactly.
But I've got a nephew that's at Texas State in San Marcos, and I'm thinking, and he's graduating this summer, but they had to postpone graduation to August. They're
Right,
doing
sure.
everything.
They're doing all at
And
one
I'm
time.
like, I would totally do that.
Absolutely.
I'm so game.
I
So,
wonder if it was official or just a bunch of kids did it.
I think it was official because they were
So
taking
cool.
pictures
Yeah.
individually
I
as they
saw
came
it,
down
yeah.
the chute.
I'm like you. I saw it a little bit and I didn't stop on it. But
I know.
yeah.
And it's like, what took them so long to come up with this brilliant idea?
And they may have been doing it casually all this time, but we
Probably,
didn't know.
but now,
so, yeah.
but now the focus was on
Right,
it. But I loved
exactly.
it. It was really good to see, and kids are going to be kids and find a way around it and find some
Absolutely.
new ways to celebrate. So,
Absolutely.
But it's kind of like everything reopening. Tomorrow morning is the first in-person Conroe Chamber networking breakfast, morning mingle that they've had since the COVID closure.
Sure. And where's that going to be?
That's actually going to be at the Conroe Chamber office. So they
Okay.
have been having it at McKenzie's. They're doing individually wrapped breakfast items. But you can also, if you're still not comfortable going out in public and publicly networking, you can actually do a Zoom call and you can still see everybody that's there and
Right,
connect with everyone. So, it's just one of those adaptations that you keep seeing. But
Well, that's one of the things that I'm really trying because I'm, basically don't believe in it,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm really trying to be. You do you. If you
Whatever
don't-
you're
if you want to
comfortable
wear a
with.
mask, if you
Yep.
still don't want to leave your house, if that's fine. I'm not going to make fun of you. I'm not going to criticize you. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
judge you. But don't worry about me getting on a plane the first second I can.
Exactly.
In fact, I already have.
I know. I know. I was jealous because you went to Nashville. It's like one of my favorite places on the planet. But yeah, and I think that's what everybody's trying to be or needs to get really respectful of.
Right, exactly.
Do what you're comfortable with, and and I'm going to do what I'm comfortable with.
Right.
And if you don't like the fact that I'm not wearing a mask and not wearing
That's
gloves, then
fine.
just stay on the other side of the room.
Exactly.
It's perfectly
Right.
fine.
That's right.
And I'm okay with that.
I have some colleagues in Austin, and many of them are very, I'm just going to say it, judgy of
Yeah.
me because I'm not, because like on a call the other day, one of them was like, well, I'm sure Holly's been out to eat 3 or 4 times. I'm like, dude, I went out to eat the first night.
I did too.
And that's just my thing. But I'm not, if you don't feel comfortable with that, no problem. I don't care.
Yeah.
Do
It's
your
not gonna hurt
thing.
my feelings.
Yeah. You don't want to go to the Chamber of Commerce or you want to go because there's a wrapped chicken fajita?
Yeah.
Grab your wrapped chicken fajita. That's
I
fine with
know.
me.
Or bring your own if you want to. Do what you got to
Exactly,
do.
yeah.
But it is time and it is critical as we're moving into this phase 3 of reopening, it's critical for our economy, not only here locally, Conroe, Montgomery County, state of Texas, nationwide, worldwide, that we start getting back into some semblance of not new normal, but normal.
Yeah. I just think that there's going to be so many studies, and not just economics, but social studies about how we shut down our economy without even no planning, no thinking. I mean, and I'm not criticizing, because it is so easy. I try in my life not to look back at things and say, how did they make that decision?
Right.
Because everybody just makes the best decision they can with what information they have.
Exactly.
But wow, that was a huge decision to have been undertaken with.
In such a short amount of time.
And how we all just were like, okay.
Let's
do. Yeah.
I know. And then you look at what they've done with, unemployment. And as somebody who missed out on that boat, and even I still haven't even gotten my first stimulus check yet. But to see what, they come in and they're like, okay, well, we've got to keep people afloat. We've got to keep people afloat. So we're going to not only give you unemployment, we're going to bump it up. And then, now we're on the other side of it, where you've got people that are now making more money staying at home on unemployment than they are going back to work. And now we have this other dilemma.
Exactly. How do you make them do that?
But it's one of those things too. Again, it's the adapting and the learning, but I think it too differentiates people's way of thinking as far as, I was ready to get back to work. It's like, I work very, very long days for absolutely no reason right now, just because it feels really good to be back working and be in the office and being productive. But going forward, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And, with everything else going on in the news that we're going to talk about, there's all kinds of insanity that we need to address, and how we're going to be moving forward post-COVID-19.
Yes.
There's some other elements that COVID isn't gone out of this conversation, because there's some other elements that I want to bring back to it. But we're going to take our first break today. We're actually going to come back with a guest on the phone. Something we haven't done before. We're just trying all the new things.
That's right.
All the new things. If you are listening to us on the Moxie Innovative page on Facebook, and you're about to get in your car to head out for lunch, don't forget you can tune into 104.5 or 106.1 on the FM dial if you're here in the Conroe area, or you can live stream us on irlonestar.com. This is Toast of the Town with Christy and Holly, and we'll be right back.
Did you know that there are over 153 million orphans in the world today? The sad reality is 99% of those kids will likely never be adopted. Core Love is an organization right here in Conroe that takes care of orphan children in Haiti, Honduras, and India. We bring the love of Jesus by providing their 6 basic needs of clean water, proper food, healthcare, education, job skills, and a loving home. Visit corelove.org. That's CORELUV.org. Will you help defend the orphan?
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show. With monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Welcome back to Toast the Town with Christy and Mel and Holly. Holly, thank you so much for coming to join me today, because it would have been awfully lonely just sitting here talking by myself.
It would have been.
It would have been really depressing and very boring. But we do have somebody on the phone that we would like to patch in. Are you there?
I'm here. So excited.
Okay. Now, don't scream too loud, and you are on speakerphone. So remember to enunciate your words correctly.
Okay.
You just got started.
You're talking. Yeah, thanks. You're talking to me. I don't enunciate.
We're working on that. Anyway, we've got Mel tuning in on the phone live from the metropolis that is outside Huntsville, Texas. And I've got Miss Holly Arbuckle here in the studio with me, and we've been talking about all the craziness that's been going on with COVID and all the great new developments, things opening up, the great graduation ceremonies that have been coming on. And,
Yeah.
one of the other cool things about life getting back to normal is we're starting to see building and construction happen again.
That's exciting.
It is exciting. And, they just announced this past week that there is a new development that's coming to Conroe that's going to add 12,000 homes off of FM 242. Price range between 250 to 350,000. They're looking at phase 1 of the development opening up in 2021.
Will it be a city of Conroe? Or
It
do
will
you
be
know?
city of
It is city of
Conroe.
Conroe. Wow.
Really?
12,000 new rooftops. But what a great promise of what's going
coming.
on
Yeah,
and what's
absolutely.
happening here.
Right.
Holly and I were just talking about they're doing some construction and things next door to us while the show was going on. But it's great to see all this new life
Yeah.
that's still coming back. Everybody's starting to get back in the swing of things. Money and investments are starting to come back in again, and we're starting to see that new life happen.
Yeah. And the construction next door is one thing, but I know what you're really excited about, and that's the construction behind it.
Well,
the beer garden.
there is a new beer garden. Did you know there's a beer
I
garden?
did. I
It's
met
very
the guy
exciting.
yesterday, actually.
It's very exciting. I know between the beer garden and Margaritaville, we're going
Right.
to have to make some
Absolutely.
rounds here lately. But and as all of us that grew up here and know this downtown square area so well, there was another story that came out that I thought was really awesome, and that is that MHW Real Estate has purchased the old Carter drugstore on
Absolutely.
the corner. And they're renovating it. And it's pretty awesome because they're moving their headquarters. Our friend Jody Chakowski is moving his headquarters here.
Already did.
Already did.
Already did.
To
They're up
downtown
there.
Conroe. And then they're also going to have available space. They have additional tenants of Blue Epiphany and University of St. Thomas. I mean, how
So
exciting is that?
I toured it yesterday. So
Yeah?
the left corner, if you're facing it, is going to be University of St. Thomas, and they are starting a very strong nursing program. And so that will be a place for students to come in and out. It won't be classrooms, but it'll
Right.
be, it's
Like a
going to be
resource type
online.
center?
Yes, there's going to be
Wow.
a resource center there, and that's where the online learning will start, where they'll sign up and all that kind of stuff. And then on the other side of that will be Blue Epiphany Winery.
Which we love.
Yes, which is
So
going to be
much.
it's going to be a tasting room and all that stuff. And then upstairs there are offices for rent, and it's really cool because they left a lot of the natural wood and everything in there. They didn't. In fact, Jody told me yesterday there were lots of not embers, but wood that had been burned, and you could see it. They're still charred. And he told them,
wow.
he said, just reinforce that. Don't take it down.
That's
and
very
it's
cool.
really cool. So
Cool
you can tell-
personality.
exactly. So it's got a very good feel for its old, and yet it's all painted and fresh and new. So
Right.
it's I wouldn't call it rustic, but it's just kind of the new style now, which is the mixture of old and new.
Authentic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's authentic, exactly right. And the offices they're small, but there's windows all through it. It's light and bright, and really, it's really going to be a cool building, I think, for a lot of
That
people,
is-
and really be a lot happening right there.
Yeah, well,
So-
and I was reading a little bit about it, and the building was built in 1912, and then it burned,
Right, and that's the
and then they reopened here as the Carter Pharmacy. Is that right?
right.
Well, what we all need to recognize is that it's the blending of the old with the new, and as Conroe continues to grow, we're redoing the outdated, I'm using that term loosely, portions of downtown and updating it and bringing more people into downtown, which is great.
But not just throwing it away,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And bringing new life into some of these structures, and that's part of what's so charming to me. And downtown Colorado especially, because it has a special place in my heart. But all of these old downtowns all across the state of Texas,
Right.
Seeing this life and this
Well, let me
rehabilitation.
jump in
going on.
here just if you don't mind.
Please, go
I
ahead.
just came, coming into the radio station, right next door to the radio station, Market Street Mercantile. I believe.
Yes.
And it's a bunch of different Conroe vendors. So
Yes.
everything in the store, and it's got essential oils and arts and crafts and cooking things.
And beautiful gift items and-
items and cool hats.
Yes.
I may or may not have to go buy right now.
Yeah.
But she told me, she's like, it's everybody in here is either from Conroe or it's made in Conroe.
Yeah.
And it's just the coolest stuff. So next time you have to buy a gift of any sort or get something cool for yourself.
Yes, come in.
It is, and I promise you, there is very, very high quality, interesting things in that store.
Yes.
So
And then you've got the boutique across the street, Sweet
Right.
Texas Treasures, which I love. and I haven't been in there in a while, so I may just have to
Trying new
kind of
stuff.
drift
Right,
and just,
right.
you know,
If it happens, it happens. Yeah.
you know, supporting the local economy.
Absolutely.
Doing my part where I can. But
But the key
Right.
thing that's cool about it is there was a time when we supported the local economy and it just wasn't quite as good. And I mean, we did it anyway, and we went to the restaurants even though we would have rather gone somewhere else. But it's not like that now.
No.
This stuff is
No, it's
equally
not.
as good or better as anything you can get anywhere else.
Yeah.
I was shocked and amazed to see some of the
I
really
agree.
cool things in there. So
yeah,
that's
and,
great.
and it's alive and thriving, and to see
Right.
people starting to take chances back in business.
Mm-hmm.
And we unfortunately during the shutdown we did lose a lot of small businesses. Not only here in the downtown area, but everywhere. But to see this new growth and this new
Right,
life and
right.
all of these new things coming there, it's just so exciting.
It is. It is.
And then to realize that we're going to have, 12,000 new homes here in a couple of years. And that's just
Crazy.
one
Yeah,
development.
that's just one. Yeah.
That's just one development. And there's building going on all over the place. I know traveling down Longmire, they're doing the Longmire
Oh,
expansion
yeah.
that is years and years and years overdue. But just the growth on that corridor
route.
and out on Lee Line, the new developments that are going out, it's
Right.
just, it's amazing to see.
It is.
It's a very exciting time to, be,
Yeah.
to
To be a Conronian.
To be a
Conroite.
Conronian.
Conroid. What is the appropriate term?
No, we're gonna. That's got to be detailed in some book somewhere, right?
Somewhere.
Well, if you really must know, it's Conroite.
Yes, I think it is.
Conroite.
Conroite. Conroite. Yeah, I know. I don't like it.
I
but
think
that's what
Conroy
it
is a little better, but that's just me.
You like what?
Conroy.
Conroy.
I'm kidding.
Actually, I kind of like that. It kind of works. But yeah, it is very good to see, and I think it's really cool that that Jody and his crew, took back that building and made it into
Right.
something beautiful and something new, but still kept the
and he's
charm.
he's a busy man.
Flavor,
he's a busy man.
He is a busy guy.
He is.
Going
He
90
is.
to nothing, and and he and his beautiful wife Nicole, raising sweet babies, and and then juggling all the 40,000
Right,
other things they've got going
yeah.
on, and and he puts on Faith Fest every year.
Right.
He's still doing that, right?
Yeah, but we had to postpone it.
Yeah.
It's going to be Francesca Betticelli. Is that her name?
Yes.
Okay. And we just got right up to the deadline and just decided that it probably wasn't worth the risk. So, because we would have to pay, so we postponed it to the spring, and she is coming in the spring.
That's very
so
exciting.
it will be in the spring. So that Faith Fest is not gone. It's just postponed.
That is awesome.
It is.
And yesterday, if anybody was tuning in to K-Star Radio, they heard that the Conroe Cajun Catfish Festival is still scheduled to go on the second
Oh,
weekend in
good.
October, which will be October 9th, 10th, and 11th. Here in the streets of downtown Conroe, of course, who knows what will happen between now and then, but to announce such an exciting lineup, and again, we're keeping on with life here and
had
infusing
to.
money into this
Yeah.
economy, bringing things back. It's
And again, if you don't want to come, don't come. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and
okay.
and by the way, you can still send us money. We're a nonprofit.
Exactly.
So you can support the Friends of Conroe, and we'll still take those. We'll take
Right.
if you don't feel like coming, it's all right. Just send us that $200 you were going to spend
Exactly.
on beer
Exactly.
and food, and we'll just give that out to our
Turn
high
your
school
radio up.
scholarships.
Yeah.
That's right.
We'll
Yeah.
put it in the right place. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's the next kind of topic that we have that we're going to be talking about is going to be kind of a lengthy one. So I think we might take a little bit quicker second break than we normally do. Mel, you're going to stay on the line with us, right?
Sure.
Okay, because we have some big things that have been going on in the news, and something that I found out today that really bothered me, that goes along with all these things coming up. So if you get a chance, make sure you're still tuning in to us on irlonestar.com, or if you go to Facebook, you can go to Moxie Innovative Facebook page, and you can watch us live as well as listen to us live.
Wait, what? We're on camera?
Yeah, you didn't see this little guy right here? Where you been?
No, I don't know.
Like you don't look fabulous all
I
the time.
should have. I wanted to put a little face cream on or something, but I didn't. So.
You're beautiful as always.
Yeah.
Beautiful as always. Anyway, so thanks for tuning in to Toast the Town with Christy and Mel and Holly. And we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776.
Second Saturday Divorce Workshop provides unbiased information to help you understand your options and move forward with your life. This divorce workshop is for you if you are contemplating divorce, in the process of divorce, already filed for divorce, or post-divorce. You will explore the emotional, legal, and financial aspects of divorce from professionals who have guided others through divorce. For more information on this divorce workshop, contact SecondSaturdayWoodlands.com or call 832-375-0900.
Welcome back to Toast the Town with Christy and Mel. And we have our special guest, Miss Holly Arbuckle, filling in here in the studio with me today, so I'm not here by my lonesome.
Because Mel is remote today.
Mel is remote.
Mel is in the air.
Yes.
Mel, I think you just kind of did this to be cool because everything's been remote lately, and you're just like,
Yeah.
you're just like, I'm
I
still
did.
remote.
Well, you know, she,
That's exactly what it is.
and
That's
she
exactly
didn't
what it
have to do her hair. She didn't have to
That's
do
what I
any of
was fixing to
this
say.
mess. And
That's exactly what I was fixing to say. You guys were talking about how you looked, and I looked in the mirror, and I went, ooh, it scared me.
so what are you trying to say, Mel?
Y'all look fabulous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so
Fishing
much.
a little bit for that one.
Thank you
Exactly.
so much. Well,
You're welcome.
we've been talking about lots of great things, and and we need to toast all the amazing development and all these great kids that have gotten innovative and decided to float the river for graduation and their caps and gowns and all these
That's
businesses
awesome.
reopening. But it would be completely remiss of us if we didn't talk about what's been going on in the news. So I'm just going to kick this off with what irritated me on the way here.
Oh, my goodness.
I know. Everybody be prepared.
Preparation, everybody.
Everybody be prepared. So, there's so much controversy in the news today, obviously. The racial discussions, the tensions, the discussion about police and their abilities to serve their communities and so forth. And we're gonna just dive off into that, but I'm gonna get into first what put me in this position. So everybody that knows me knows that I'm an Aggie, diehard Aggie. I love my university, and part of the reason why I ended up at A&M, because I was raised as a very devout Longhorn fan, was whenever I discovered the amazing history and traditions that embody Texas A&M University. And I'm not going to go into all the meanings and everything, but on my way here today, I saw some pictures of one of the statues of Sol Ross that is on campus in front of the academic building had been defaced with graffiti. And they put Black Lives Matter, and then they did this ACAB, all cops are bad, we'll say. And it absolutely not only broke my heart.
Sure.
And not only broke my heart as a former student and as a historian and as, somebody that just enjoys, history and the statues, but it made me mad because, if you feel moved to protest, that is absolutely your right, and you should go with it. But to deface government property in such a tacky, tasteless, careless way, it just really makes me angry.
And he's a military hero.
Yes.
I mean, what? Why? What's the
Here's
point?
why. Here's why. And again, I think anybody who knows me knows I'm a very devout conservative.
Right.
However, this situation has me a little bit torn up because, and again, you just said you're a historian. I actually happen to have a history degree from the University of Texas, but I had to do it. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh no, we're
But
this will be show part 2 sometime.
when you start thinking about history and erasing it, and I do not ever want to erase history.
Yes.
But what would we think of a nice little park and a statue of Hitler in Munich, Germany? We would think it was horrible.
Right.
What would we think of a little statue of Mussolini,
Yep.
of Saddam Hussein, of Gaddafi?
Right.
Any of the people who oppressed their people, who did the things to their people that the black community feels, and rightly so, was done to them by Sol Ross and Thomas Jefferson and all of the Confederate generals.
Right.
They absolutely have a point when you look at it through the prism of literal history and through the prism of societies moving forward.
Sure.
So where is the happy medium between honoring our Southern traditions and honoring
And respecting.
respecting and honoring our Southern traditions, which of course you know I'm all about, but also revering the generals who fought to keep slavery. And you have to understand where that comes from. In as much as we would never want Hitler or Eichmann or any of those guys revered in any way,
Of course.
because society and the world has decided that Nazism is without redemption. There is no redeeming quality to it. And we feel the same way about slavery.
True.
So,
Well, and I will say this too, as somebody that comes from a Native American heritage.
that's why you have that great tan, isn't it?
I was fixing to say, I never knew that. Oh my gosh.
But
That
it's,
beautiful skin.
but to be able to, if we're going to have that same regard, then it applies to all of us.
Exactly.
I mean, we've all been wronged culturally, in life, by
Right,
individuals, whatever. But I think if we turn our back on history, and I'm not saying just, not celebrating, but if we
Right.
turn our back on history, then we're turning our back on the lessons that we learned during that time as well.
Right. But the statues of the Confederate generals are not historical. They're revered. They are statues. I mean, we put them up as to be reverent.
Monuments.
And as monuments. And so, this, I'm not through thinking about this. I'm just being honest with it. It's challenging for me because I've never been a person who thought we should take down the statues. And within the last year, I've really started comparing it to, trying to get out of just the plain American mindset. But then the other side of that is you can't lessen what the United States of America did within 100 years of its founding, which was not done by Jesus Christ or Muhammad or Gandhi. No one stopped slavery except us. Now, they did in other countries as well, but within 100 years of America being founded, we stopped slavery, which has been a part of society from time immemorial. So there's not any, that was the way of the world. I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying anything like that. But to go back in history and say everybody who believed in slavery or had a slave or lived in the lifestyle of slavery, like some of us did, our ancestors did in the South, that was the accepted way. And in the same way as we can't go back now and say everybody who put on a mask because of COVID is crazy because now we know you don't have to. It's very easy to sit where we sit and look at the past and criticize what we did then. And that's not what we as a society should do. We should learn and grow and not criticize where we used to be. I'm sorry. I'm not serious.
No,
but
but I think this is a serious conversation, and what you're saying is exactly right. There is no clear cut and dry answer. There's no between morality, between history, between any of it. There's no simple, mindset that everybody is going to buy into. It's just not possible.
Right.
But I do believe that there is a time and a place for respect of every kind, and I don't think. racism is an awful truth in this world.
Right.
Not just this nation,
Right.
not just this state or town, in the world.
Right.
It is a
Agreed.
fact.
Agreed.
And it's an awful fact, but it is humanity.
Yes.
And we are flawed, as
Right.
we all know. But I really, you look at things and the way that our country was founded and rebelling against England, and we celebrate, our forefathers who sacrificed so much and fought against the people that paid for them to come here.
Right, right. But the other thing, too, is the subjugation of the Indian peoples. I mean,
Yes.
there has never, ever in the history of the world been a society formed any other way. Every single society that has been formed on the subjugation of the native peoples, whoever they are.
Exactly.
Going back to 0001, and so that, I'm not saying that what we did to the Indian nation was in any way to be regarded, but that is the way it was done and is still done.
Yes.
So, excuses maybe, but facts.
Well, and I do see your point. I do actually see your point.
And it's kind of irritating, isn't it?
It is kind of irritating.
kind of irritating.
But you know what? You still don't have to spray paint the statue.
I agree. You don't have to spray paint it. That's for dadgum sure. But I can't sleep at night thinking about what I would think about a nice little park in a beautiful area of Munich, Germany, dedicated to Hitler. And because the truth of the matter is, what Hitler did for the German people before Nazism, bringing them out of World War I as he did, and fighting the Prussians like they did, I mean, he was a hero. I mean, and he brought the German people way out of a dark place. Now, he went too far, but, that's exactly what they could say about all of our Confederate heroes.
Yeah.
And
Mel,
it's hard.
yeah, what are your thoughts, Mel?
No, I have no thoughts because I agree with both. I mean, really, I agree with both sides. I'm irritated with the facing of the property, and I am wholeheartedly in agreement with what Holly is saying. So,
It's an inconvenient truth, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. And my opinion is they need to find the people who did it. They need to pay for the restoration of it, and then it needs to be petitioned and removed and put in another place, or whatever the answer is there. But I don't think it needs to be ignored because somebody broke the law. Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. But the other side of it is that I get it, Holly. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
even though you did come from UT.
Yeah.
So
Well, and so taking that a step forward, we've been talking about obviously all of these protests that have been going on, and one of the new conversations as a proposed solution is the defunding of police forces across the country. Now, as someone who is a family member of a retired officer who was raised to respect officers and and everyone that is in that facility, I can't even imagine what that looks like and how that could even work. And they're saying that they're going to take money away from law enforcement and redirect it to social work and outreach programs and youth services.
how has that worked? How has that worked for us in the past? I mean, that's my only question. How has multicultural training worked in the school system? How has multicultural training worked within the administrative sector of municipalities? I think it's just I really think it's number one, it's a waste of money to move that money to that sort of thing, other than for obvious programs that have proven to already work.
Well, and I agree, but if I have somebody breaking into my house, am I gonna call
the social worker
to come and help me out? I mean, do y'all agree that this is just an invitation for lawlessness and more anarchy to ensue all over the country?
Absolutely. But the thing about there's two additional points to make. The first one is that it always takes a radical group of people to swing things out so far that they come back to somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And the people who have that thought of defunding the police have to know that that is not possible and that is not even, anything to be wanted. but that something needs to happen. And maybe I'm being naive. Maybe they do mean defund the police, but that boggles my mind that anybody could think that. But by pushing for that, they're trying to push the conversation forward, which it needs to go forward.
Right, but you've got the city of Minneapolis who they're
actually doing
it. They're doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Now, you and I both know, and Mel, you do too, that there are bad folks in every
field.
occupation, every
Absolutely.
field, every society,
Absolutely.
every group. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be that one at least.
But most of those groups don't have guns and badges. That's what makes it, and I mean it's a truism. There's nothing worse than a dirty cop. There's
Yep.
nothing badder than a bad cop.
Yep.
And that they just have so much power and authority. The thing
And
about this
they
whole
do, and let me add here, and y'all are in the same group I'm in, so you'll get this. But we know people who have come from being a cop that there were things done that were much more prevalent and accepted that weren't necessarily thought of as racist. It was just the way they did things, and that so much of that has been cleaned up over the last 20, 25 years. I'm kind of proud of that it's moved ahead and that things have been done properly.
Yeah, there has been a large improvement. I'd agree.
Okay, so but then we have one or two guys within a sector, and I don't know what the percentage is. I would say it's very small, that are really messing this up. And Chauvin is one of them. I don't know how you say things, Chauvin, whatever. He was a bad guy. He happened to be a cop. Excuse me. And I think that's a completely different issue. And I think that they need to, they ought to use that extra money and weed those guys out.
True. Well, and I think there's some similarities whenever you start looking at, the Catholic Church and their pastors that abuse children, that use their authority in that respect. Yep. It's very congruent because you can see the lines a lot in the same way. And again, that was another topic that was, kind of swept under the rug for as long as possible until somebody said, no, this isn't going to happen anymore. And people come forward, and there's still people coming forward, and there's still, bad guys in the priesthood, and there's
Absolutely.
still, bad doctors that abuse women that come to see them.
Right.
But where do we draw the line, especially when it comes to a group of people that I would say the majority signed up for this job because there's not as much glory as people want.
Yeah.
You aren't going to become a millionaire being in law enforcement. You aren't going to,
Well, it's 95% sheer boredom and 5% sheer terror.
Exactly. and so
That's what a policeman told me one time.
and so many of these great officers that are, you look at the officers that were killed in Dallas. Was that 2 years ago? A year ago? And you look at those officers, most of those that were victims of those killers were part of their community. They were respected and revered, and people wanted them to be an integral part of their community because they were doing their jobs right. And I think it's just a real horrible shame that the rhetoric right now going on in this country is focused so much on all cops are bad, and we all know that's not true.
Well, and the thing that's so strange about it is the way the emotion of the country and the attention of the country has just ricocheted, because it wasn't, before COVID, we were in this whole first responders, revering the first responders, and everybody was having barbecues from them. And,
Yes.
And, Joe's
Celebrating
Italian guy, did anything he could for cops. The
Yes.
whole country was obsessed. We went from obsessing about the guys on 9/11. Remember? First, those guys, I think that's when the whole first responder thing happened.
Yeah.
And they were wonderful. They went into the towers, blah, blah, blah. But this country has been, obsessed with honoring first responders for the last couple of years.
Yes.
In a way that we do that with the military as well. And then one thing, and boom, we have just, it's like
Done a 180.
Yeah, and now everybody hates the cops, and it's just crazy. It's like,
It's whiplash.
but what it does is it shows a lack of foundation about knowing what you believe in and what's important and what you're willing to do something about. You
Well,
know?
and the power of the media to skew
Oh, absolutely.
perspectives and change people's attitudes in order to, cause a reaction that can sometimes be very tragically flawed.
Exactly, but that's because those beliefs aren't strongly held enough that they get swayed so easily. I'm a big strong proponent of, if you want to protest, rock on. I got no problem with that. If you want to, however you want to fulfill what you feel like is your promise to your society, you should do. But you should know what that is.
Yes.
And you should be committed to it, and you should understand why, you feel that way and why you're taking the action. And that's what I bet you 96% of the people who protest aren't registered to vote.
I absolutely
And 99%
agree.
of them don't vote.
Well, and I also
That's the minimum
and I
thing you can
believe
do.
too that a lot of people these days, because of so many other worries that they're having to deal with, so many other obligations, so many constraints on their time, that they're basing their foundation of beliefs on the media and what they read on social media, the people that are influencing others, and instead of actually digging in
Right.
and finding out what it means to them personally,
Right.
and then taking the action that they feel is appropriate because
Absolutely.
they're passionate
And
about
you
it.
don't have to do it on everything.
No.
You just need to find 2 or 3 things that you really, really care about and know them and hold them true.
Yes.
So
So I want to add something. We jump on the media all the time, and because we are of the conservative ilk, as are most people in Montgomery County. We tend to jump on the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the ABCs, CBSs because they're so liberal, and we all tend to watch Fox because they're conservative. But I think, and I'm probably going to get shot down for this, but I think that the Sean Hannitys, and I don't dislike Sean Hannity, but anyway, I think that the Sean Hannitys and Laura Ingrams of the world do just as much disservice to these stories about cop shooting, well, specifically the ordeal in Dallas. And I think they do just as much disservice to it as
I agree.
the left-wing media, because they bring out that when what was it they said, what do we want? We want cops dead. When do we want it? We want it now. 2 years later, he's still repeating that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that event is over.
Absolutely. And here's the only thing that I will say about that, because I will say out loud, I can't stand Sean Hannity. And, the one thing that I will make an excuse for that is, it is absolutely, well, I don't know if it is, it should be clear to everybody that Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson and Rush Limbaugh are opinion journalists. They are not journalists. They don't claim to be journalists. They are entertainers, period.
Right.
On the other
I agree.
side, Chris Cuomo does consider himself to be a journalist. Anderson Cooper does consider himself to be a journalist.
True.
And when they take the other side as if it's journalism, when David Muir on ABC talks as if it's journalism and he is a respected journalist, that's the problem.
Yep.
And so to conflate what happens at night on Fox News with what happens in the 6 o'clock news hour on the more what we call mainstream media is not the same thing.
No.
Fox absolutely. I mean, when you look at the true ratings, the Brett Baer News Hour, which is, I don't know if it's at 5 or 6, I guess it's at 5, is rated as the most even-handed news hour by everybody in the news business. There is no opinion in what Brett Baer says. It's all straight journalism, and it's been recognized by, I wouldn't say Pulitzer. I'm trying to think what organization. I can't remember now, but I've read it year after year, But what happens after that is pure politics. And it's the same thing on all the other stations, but they pretend that it's not.
Well, and
Fox at least admits that they're
Right.
opinion.
And people, I think, find it so hard to differentiate that opinion is not fact.
No.
And because they're being sold and fed that opinion as they're being fed these facts, it kind of mixes in and it goes in as one conjoined truth,
Right.
and it's not.
Right. And even go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, I get that and I agree, but it's blown up And it's regardless of whether it's opinion or whether it's straight journalism. I think there's too much of it. I really do. I don't care where you are. I think there's too much of it. I think the fact that first of all, I think it's atrocious. These guys were leaders in establishing community policing. They were fabulous cops. And
you talking about the Dallas guys?
And so, the Dallas guys. I'm sorry. And so I the fact that they're not with us anymore is it's devastating. The other side of it is that we don't need to keep blowing things up. It was a peaceful march. It was a peaceful way to move forward, and I just think it's too much. That's all.
Well, and I think this is a conversation that's going to be ongoing as we see what happens now that they had the final burial yesterday, and what the people that stay impassioned, and are going to carry this forward in the way that it should be done. By casting ballots, by talking to congressmen, by taking the steps necessary to actually affect real change. Or if the media is going to roll on to something else, because, it wasn't that long ago and it was all COVID and it was all COVID and it was all COVID. And then, people started not getting so scared of COVID and it wasn't that big of a deal. And so, wham, now we've got this whole nother debacle that we're all dealing with. And there's so many other news stories that are real meaty news that people in this country need to know about, that they're missing because of all of this other, sleight of hand tricks that are going on right now. And that's what's so frustrating is people, are getting enraged about these topics because they're using these wonderful trigger words that get people impassioned and, a little bit crazy sometimes. And then over here, there's other real news going on that affects us every day that we're not paying attention to, and I think that's the real shame. So I think going forward, we're going to be watching how that happens and what transpires. Kind of like I'm doing with Major League Baseball. What are we going to do with baseball? Hopefully, it's coming back. If they could just all, once again, it's money holding up the greatest pastime, and it is making me crazy. But I did get a little bit of a baseball fix this past weekend with Jackson, so that helped a little bit. One other thing that I wanted to bring up too, and I was gonna get Holly with this because I really wanted to get her opinion on some of this stuff, but we'll have to do this next time. The Texas Water Development Board is looking for residents to be part of planning groups to develop a statewide regional flooding plan.
How to flood? Or no.
Yeah.
So water's the new oil. Water's the thing.
It is, and so it's going to be interesting. They're doing 15 groups of 12 members. Nominations are due by July 2nd. If you would like to be a part of it or read more, you can go to www.
Okay, which one of y'all wants to be in it?
Okay,
Sorry,
can I finish the website?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
twdb.texas.gov. But and I was reading about this, and they didn't say, hey, you have to be an expert. They're just saying, hey, we just want people. So it'll be really interesting, given recent local water politics, what this is going to involve with the state. And obviously flood mitigation and water resources is a really hot topic and something that we need to talk about. But I'm having no doubt that there will be some kind of controversy in there.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got...
Okay, wait. I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
The next time we do this, y'all send somebody up with my glass of champagne so I can do it.
It's a deal. It's a deal. Well, Mel, thank you so much for calling in to join us today. And Holly, thanks for coming up and helping. I think you gave some new perspective that we've all got to talk about. But I think it's a good conversation. I think we're having real conversations about very real topics and very real problems.
I don't mean to turn everything political.
No, but it is. But it's very true. It is political, and there's lots of things, new conversations that we need to have. Don't forget, you can watch this if you missed it in its entirety on the YouTube channel. You can go to irlonestar.com and make sure you set your calendar to join us every Wednesday from 12 to noon as we bring you Toast the Town with Christy and Mel, celebrating the best of Montgomery County in and around the area. Holly, thanks so much. Mel, it was great to see you. Y'all stay safe out there, stay cool, and we will see you next week.
Today's show was recorded and broadcasted live on irlonestar.com, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and all rights and ownership are reserved to Lone Star Community Radio. For more information regarding this program and Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, serving the community with local programming on TV, radio, and online. If you enjoyed today's program, please support us by sponsorship or starting your own show. Contact us today by phone or text at 936-666-1084 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.
Hey guys,